Hi there, and welcome to another episode of the Christian Women in Business podcast. It is so amazing to have you here today. We are joined by a beautiful lady all the way over the big pond who's on a mission to equip Christians with the conversational skills to lead, serve, and care well. Her favorite thing to do on the weekend is to read and take a walk. Welcome to the podcast, Abigail Doos from Equipping for Impact.
Hello there. I need to add Thai food. I love Thai food. Eat, take a walk,
Oh,
read a book.
eat Thai food on
Yes,
the.
right?
Yeah,
Thanks so
yeah,
much for
yeah, yeah,
having me.
yeah. Now you're joining us from all the way over in Denver, Colorado.
Yes, Denver, Colorado. I've been here about 3 years and it is gorgeous. It is really
And where are you
gorgeous.
originally from?
I grew up in Ohio, in the Midwest, went to college in Ohio, went to grad school in Chicago. So a lot of Midwest. And then
Yeah.
I had some family to slowly start to move out to Denver. We're not originally from Denver, but more and more family moved out here. And I thought, okay, well, let's be where the people are. You get older and you're like, okay, I want to be by my family a little bit
You
more.
do.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? How in time you start to value family a lot more than when you were younger.
Yes. Yes.
I
It's
totally
really,
hear you with that.
yeah, it's really interesting. I was thankful that my mom came near to live near us when I had my fourth kiddo. And I was like, "Oh, you are right on time. Come on over." Up until then, I was Miss Independent. Like, no, I don't need anybody. I could do it. And I was just about to have my fourth kid, and she called and said, "What do you think about me retiring and moving near you?" I'm like, "I think you're right on time. Let's go." It was
Let's
only
do
a
this.
month
Here
into
you go.
it.
See ya. Bye.
Yeah, she was like, "How did you guys survive without me?" I'm like, "We don't talk about the time before you got here, mom. It was rough. It was rough."
Oh, bless her soul. We
Yeah.
love mums. Thank
Yes.
God for mums. Oh
Yes.
my gosh. So, Abigail and I, we've kind of met through people, and I kind of want to give you a backstory, and then I'm going to get Abigail to share a little bit about her story, and we'll get into the full content of the podcast. But I don't know if you guys remember, a couple of years ago, I was invited to a leaders summit over in the US. I want to say that might have been 2023-ish, and met some wonderful people, all Christian women, all in a leadership role of some kind. And I met a person called Jess, and she actually was the MC for the weekend. And I just want to share the importance of never underestimating going to events or going to, like, if you're invited to things. Sometimes it can feel like everything's a bit too much and we're maybe going to too many. But I always say yes to the very special ones. Like, and I always kind of think, where is that on my scale of, because we're talking about not being in our superwoman era anymore, like, and what we say yes and no to, but really picking what we do is a big yes. And for me, that one was a big yes. And so I went and flew over to the US, landed in Dallas, Texas, and spent the weekend with some amazing women. And we've stayed in contact since then. And these are like women that are doing some really amazing things over in the US and globally as well. And that's when you met Jess at a different event, right?
Yes, just like that. And I'm so glad you're sharing that because I think as women, especially busy business women and some of us moms, we undervalue the time where we could be connected to other women like that. Like, oh, it's an expense. Oh, it's time away. I'm barely surviving every week as it is. How could I possibly step away, spend more money and more hours away from my family? And the thing is, how can we not? How can we not take time out to have the opportunity that God might want to connect us to women that will become our people, women who will spur us on? I think that's just so special. So I'm really glad that you brought that up.
Yeah, yeah. And so Jess mentioned to you, oh, you should get in contact with SJ. Is that
Yes,
right? And
yes,
then,
absolutely. And part of that
and it was
was
from a,
because of
oh,
Thrive.
sorry, go on.
Yeah, part of that was
Yeah.
because of Thrive, which is a nonprofit organization that I have the privilege of working with. And they serve missionary women all over the world. So cross cultural workers. And I know you've been around the world you've had different
Uh,
chapters of your life. And so she knew that you would want to know about Thrive to either receive care or be part of the serve opportunity to love on other women.
Yeah, yeah. And then you guys were actually having a retreat in Melbourne, Australia that
Yes.
happened in February
Yeah.
this year.
Yes.
And then you were just mentioning before the podcast that what have we got? We've got Rome, Phuket.
Yep. Cape
Oh, I'm not
Town.
allowed to say that one yet.
It's okay. It's
Cape
okay.
Town.
It's going to be public soon. But we're going to
Okay.
Cape Town in July and then Buenos Aires in September.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's so exciting.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you're going to share a little bit more about how Thrive kind of comes into the
Mhm.
story in a little while. But because of that, and then because then Abigail and I kind of met on the phone through Zoom, I was actually still in the UK at that point, I think.
Mhm.
And now I'm in Australia. You just never know when
It's
things are
true.
going to happen and how they're going to happen and the timing. So I just thought it was really important to share that context with you today so that, if you've kind of been, I don't know, just to encourage you to step out into different spaces and to meet different people, even if it comes in from random places. You just never know where things are going to lead or what's going to happen.
Mhm.
So, Abigail, can you share with us now a little bit about, well, not a little bit, as much as you want to, your story? And, you mentioned you've got 4 kids and you guys have moved around a bit as a family, but I'd love to know your story and how you got to where you got today and the journey that God's kind of taken you on.
Yeah, he's such a good God. It could be a long story because I'm getting old. Okay, I've got a lot of years here that
That's
I could be
fine.
talking
That
about.
is fine.
No, I'll just hit the highlights. I actually am a theater girl. I was an actor when I was young, and then I decided I wanted to be a theater teacher. So my first degree is in education for theater, and I had a blast doing that. It was so much fun to teach high school theater and then college theater. And that was my world. So I still kind of see things maybe creatively or love a behind the scenes documentary. My family is all into theater, so I love doing things with them. It's been a minute since I've acted, but I directed just last year. I got to direct Sound of Music, a classic. So I really enjoyed those years. And then my husband got a job promotion that moved us from Ohio to Dallas, Texas. And I was thrilled to go with him and to start over, but it did change things for us. He ended up going into seminary and going into ministry. And things shifted for me. Like, I just couldn't get a teaching job there. I don't know why. But then I got pregnant. I was like, okay, now I know why. Cause I was sick of the dog. I don't know if you deal with that, but I was sick as a dog. So I was a pastor's wife for many, many years. And then we did a bunch of pastoral care, like just loving on people that were hurting. And that is when really there was a turning point in my life because we had had a rocky marriage some of our time. And that's part of why Dallas was a nice fresh start for us. And God used the
I just want to
brokenness.
put it out there
Yeah.
that, like, sorry to interrupt,
No,
there
you're
is no
good.
judgment on rocky marriages here. Like, everyone
Mm,
knows, like, I'm going through separation. It's ugly. Like, I'm not
oh,
making this all about me, but what I'm saying is we are very
no
real
judgment.
here and we acknowledge that things can get tough, and
Thank you.
that's no judgment on any human.
Thank
This is
you.
life and this is the journey.
It
So please
is.
know it's safe to, there's
Thank
no
you.
judgment.
It is the real people are just messy. And we were on the brink and God chose to put us back together, but then used our story to help other people. And that was a little awkward for me because I never asked for a marriage ministry. I didn't ask for my personal details to be shared, but God saw fit for that to be part of my story and part of his story and what he was doing in people. So we did that for a while as with who we were and with our story. But pretty quickly that kind of wore off. And I wanted more training. I wanted to know what the heck to do because pastor's wife, do you know what education you need to be a pastor's wife?
Zero.
Absolutely nothing. And so people look to you like you're going to be some amazing person. And you were this the same person you were the day before. Like, I'm just a girl, right? Are we on the same page here? I'm just a girl. I don't know anything. But my husband and I decided to go become coaches to get coach certification and just like to help with the process of marriage work and maybe even to get some credentials behind my name so I look legit. And that program kicked my butt. It is a Christian program called Christian Coach Institute, and it peeled back the layers in such a beautiful way. I
Mm,
didn't even know was accessible to me to lean into the Holy Spirit and to be able to ask questions differently and to listen differently. It just really was awesome. So that catapulted us into a stretch of running a nonprofit and helping people have more effective relationships. It expanded beyond marriage to parenting and business partnerships and friendships and mothers in law and adult children and all the things. And that was a great stretch of life. And then that really turned into training others because people said, oh, we'd go to churches and say, can we help you create people here at this church that could be safe? That people who are having a bunch of mess in their lives can come in without judgment and just kind of
mm,
say how it is and be real. Because rewind, when we were in marriage trouble, the church was not there for us. The people of
yeah.
the church were not there for us. It was abandoned ship big time. And so we were, without even realizing it, trying to right the wrong that the church would somehow show up more effectively for broken people. And people would say, oh, we'll just send them to you. We'll just send any hurting people to you guys. And at first it was kind of flattering, like, yeah, well, we are kind of awesome. Yeah, go ahead and send them, you know? And then fast forward a couple more kids, and I'm like, no, no,
No.
we're not doing this. Talk about being past your superwoman era. I'm like, no, we're not doing this anymore because I don't have capacity and it's not even right. They go to your church, they have a relationship with you. You're the one who's going to see them on Sunday. And I believe in your ability to be used by God to learn some of these simple truths and tools and do them. And once I
Yeah.
got a taste of equipping people to show up for people and to know how to love better, I was hooked. It was like the best drug ever. Because it's just amazing. It's so exciting. And the principles are not, you know, inaccessible. And it's just beautiful. So that's a little bit of my journey, not exactly as I might have planned it, but it's neat to see how God is at work and he's the one that's using my mess and using my story and helping me navigate to be with him. And so I just I love helping people. I love being attuned to conversation and what's working and not working about it.
So are you doing that and you doing your counseling and you're assisting with the Thrive Ministry stuff?
Yes, yes, doing both. Yes. Equipping for Impact is my business that is still launching. I've been doing it 8 years, but I haven't been able to put my 100% attention to it ever. And so I'm getting to the place where I think you'll be able to relate to this. I've been really afraid, actually. I've been afraid of failure. I've been afraid of rejection. I thought, if I put more energy behind it and it doesn't succeed, then I'll know it's me and not the
Oh.
circumstances. And I had this real wrestle with God where I was like, this is what I think I was made to do. Like I think that this is what I'm supposed to do with my life. But like I think I'm supposed to be an entrepreneur. I think I'm supposed to shine in these ways that you've gifted me and given me skill in. But what if I can't make it? What if I can't do it? And that fear of failure was paralyzing to me. So I really just leaned into God about it. And then I turned 50 and about 7 things that we don't have time to share, partially the Holy Spirit, God's word, friends, not people who didn't even know what was going on. There were just all these God moments, where he made it clear to me that I need to go for it. And suddenly, just like that, the fear of failure was eclipsed by the fear of not trying. And I knew that
Oh.
I would regret not putting myself out there and making a go of this business. So there it is, keeping it real. And that's why I'm here. And that's why I clicked yes to say, yes to this podcast because God has told me that I should go for it. And so here I am. I'm not going to be afraid. Well, I'm going to be afraid every other hour, but then every other hour, I'm going to be really confident and I'm going to believe him and his promises.
I love this. I love this so much. Thank you so much for being vulnerable and sharing and just being real. I know that it's just, there's so much fakeness out there. So really appreciate that, this is actually how it is. This is actually
This is
how it
actually
is.
how it is. I'm a hot mess. We're probably all a hot mess. Um, and
I don't say hot because I haven't reached peri or menopause yet, and I hope I don't for a few years. I just call myself a beautiful mess.
oh, I like it. I like it. That's so
And I'm
true.
full on in my beautiful mess season. Like this is
Yes.
just how it is. We're just turning up and
Yes.
I'm really encouraged that I know so many people would feel how you felt like in that moment of the fear of all the things going wrong. But God loves us the same if we're laid in bed, struck with I don't this is probably not the best example, but if we're at our lowest point and we're laid in bed and we feel like we can't move, to being highly successful in our businesses, I don't think God loves us any less or sees us any different. And I think once we understand that and can take that pressure off, and there's over the past, I don't know how many years, a good 15 years, maybe more, there's been so much pressure on Christians to find your purpose. What's your purpose on this earth? And are you living God's calling? We
Yes.
forget, and I don't think theoretically that's correct. I don't think there's any biblical that I know of reference that God says if you don't build a business, you're not successful, or if you don't find your calling on earth, then you are
Mm,
not successful. I think
I
that
agree.
is man made and it's ridiculous. God calls us to be like Jesus, to be in the moment,
Mhm,
to love, and to be kind, and to share all those fruits.
mhm.
If we're a singer and suddenly our voice breaks, does that mean that suddenly we're useless to God? When we are thinking, oh, if I'm a singer and I'm a worship singer and that is my purpose on earth, no, it isn't.
Mm-mm.
That's just one of the ways that you're helping to communicate and live, like, allow people to engage with God. That
Right.
doesn't mean that it's 100% the calling of your life. And if your voice box breaks, then what? You're no
Right.
longer useful for God? That's nah.
We know that
I
can't
don't
be
believe in that.
true.
I don't think.
No, for
Nah.
sure. But what you said about God loving me, like even if I'm there paralyzed or whatever it is, sick, I I had a counseling session a few years back where she gave me the challenge that in bed in the morning before I get up and do anything for God, that I would just thank him that he loved me already. And I sucked at that homework. Like I have the hardest time believing that. So even though I cognitively agree with you, I think I might spend the rest of my years walking out believing that God loves me and is crazy about me without me producing anything for him. But I'm a firstborn. I have some adolescent trauma. These are the things that kind of are breeding ground for, thinking that you have to go do great things for God. But I totally agree with you. In fact, I would be remiss to not say something that I feel God has really been teaching me the last month. And that is that all he really wants from me is me. He wants a relationship with me. He wants to talk to me and walk with me and sit with me and hold hands with me. And sometimes when he doesn't tell me the plan, it's just because he wants to hold hands while we walk along the path. Like if my child and I were arm in arm, they would not wonder which way, well, they could ask, which way are we going to go? But they would know because we're arm in arm. And when we get to a fork in the road, they would feel me pulling them or walking with them. And that's what God keeps impressing on me is we're just walking together. He just wants to be with me.
Yeah.
And that's our calling is really to know God and love him and be loved by him and therefore love others out of that
Others.
outflow of that relationship with him. So yes, thank you for
And
clarifying
that
that.
doesn't dismiss, no, that doesn't dismiss dreams. of what you'd like to do and dreams of what you would like to accomplish. That does
Mhm.
not diminish any of that. And listeners, please hear me out when
Yes.
I think dreams and missions are totally important. It's more from the fact of taking that pressure off of actually, how do I show up when I'm doing that stuff?
Mhm.
How do I show up when I'm doing the stuff that I am passionate about and how I do want to change things in the world or whatever it is that it might be?
Right.
It's coming from that approach and knowing that God loves me anyway. God
Yes.
loves me anyway, and I can go forward with that, knowing that, and show up my very best for you because of that,
Mhm.
just because of that. And
Yes.
so I think that just takes the pressure off so much. And like
Yeah.
this comes from a place of I need to build Christian women in business and it needs to be this and this is my calling and everyone's saying, oh, you're so anointed and you're doing all these things with your like pushing forward for women and you're building a movement and there becomes a lot of pressure. There becomes
Mhm.
a lot of pressure.
For sure.
And when things aren't happening very good in the background either for personal reasons, and that it had nothing really to do with CWIB, it was just different things in life that were happening. It can put a lot of pressure on one human to think they have to be everything to everyone, and we really don't.
For
And,
sure.
God has still loved me when I've been burnt out, laid in bed, not being able to get up, when I've made the really brave decision to step away from a marriage that wasn't safe and wasn't
Mhm.
working, to now putting my life back together. And, like I was saying before, I'm going to be doing a podcast on this afterwards. It is time to go back to God again and kind of go, okay, where are
Yeah.
we at now? Like, how do things do they need to change? Like, how do we move forwards and just seek guidance from Him as well?
Mhm.
So you just take that pressure off. I'd like my main mission, my main message for this season is just to give women permission to let things go that
Mm.
are unnecessary pressures
That's
and
so
have
good.
permission to do that,
That is so
right?
good. This just touches on part of what you said, but have you ever read Necessary Endings?
No, but it sounds good.
Oh, it's so good. I always forget if it's by Dr. Cloud or Dr. Townsend. They're the guys who wrote Boundaries together like 35 years ago. But Necessary Endings really helped me a lot. And it helped me realize that actually Christians stink at this. What you just said about taking some time to kind of realign or reboot or see what is going to come or go. That is critical. And I think as Christians, this is just a little soapbox aside, okay? As Christians, we really stink.
Go for it.
We're good at like, okay, God, I could start serving here, or I could start this business here, or I could do this or that. And the beginnings we're awesome at, but the endings, not so good. We just stick at it and we force it. It's like putting on a heavy backpack and going, oh, I'm just gonna, this seems hard. Ooh, it doesn't seem like it aligns with my life anymore. Ooh, it touches up against this that God's been really clear about. Oh, well, I'll just carry this heavy backpack because I committed to somebody or to God or to myself that this was a thing I was going to do. What, forever? Did you think that it came with a
Yeah.
commitment of forever? But we kind of do. We confuse man made loyalty with faithfulness. God says to be faithful. He does not say to be like man made loyal to something forever. And so I think we should maybe in the quarterly resets that you talk about, maybe part of the quarterly reset is to say, what do you want me to let go of?
Yeah. And we do exactly
Oh,
that.
good.
That is one of the
I'm
questions.
so
Yeah.
glad because we really, as women especially, we just stink. We're like, well, I told them that I would be the teacher's assistant at the school, so I guess I'll just keep on plugging
Doing that.
along. Yes. I don't know. That's my
And I
soapbox.
think no, I think it's a great soapbox. And I also think within that, and I don't know about you or listeners that are listening in to this episode today, I think also our identity and our ego ties in with that as well. And that's something I've learned on myself. Like, this is no judgment on others.
Spot
But,
on.
well, what if I'm not founder of Christian Women in Business anymore? Then what? Like, genuine questions.
Mhm.
What's holding
Yeah.
that? Is that ego?
Right.
Well, I'm not the founder of CWIB, and I'm not saying I'm letting CWIB go or anything like that,
No, but
but I
these are the
am saying
questions.
the ego,
Yes.
and that comes from ego.
Right.
And then identity within that is, well, if I'm not founder of CWIB anymore, then who am I?
Right.
Who am I? Am I just a no one? Does that mean
Mm.
everything ends?
Yeah.
And like what we consume ourselves with, our ego attaches to, whether
Mhm.
it's being on a board of somewhere or like you're saying with the school thing,
Mhm.
like, well, if I'm not helping in that position in school anymore, like, am I still going to be valued? Am I still going to be important? And that comes back to what we were saying before and understanding who we are in God and what that
Mhm.
means.
Yes.
And knowing that no matter what path we take, we still have him and we're grounded in him. And like you were saying, that's where the faithfulness comes in instead. That's
Yes.
when we're like, no, we're not meant to do things forever. I think as leaders, it's really important to also understand when is the right time to let go,
Mhm.
despite ego and everything else. And
Mhm.
when we are grounded in God and understand that faithfulness, we can have permission and courage to let things go and know that it's going to be okay and know that the one most
Yes.
important person in the world, God, still loves us for that, right?
Yes, yes, for sure. And there's a whole ecosystem outside of ourselves. I mean, talk about ego. We think we're the only ones that can do the thing we're doing. Like,
Mm,
even if it's making copies for the teacher, like, no one does it quite like me. I'm pretty amazing,
mhm.
you know? And let's leave room. Like, let's get off the board. Let's get out of that role. If God's telling us to move on, we need to trust him that he has someone else that he's going to put into that position. And so it's a whole ecosystem that he is Lord of. And when we obey and we take a step out, it's a blessing to us and
Yes.
to everyone that we listened, versus la la la, I'm blocking it all out. I'm just going to keep doing the thing I've been doing.
Yeah. I am stubborn. That's funny.
Yeah,
That's awesome. Okay, so I'm going to move on to the questions now because we've totally gone off
I
on
know.
lots of
I know.
different, very important. I think they needed to be said though, and they were very important. So I'm not apologizing for that.
I think
So, can you please share with us 5 top tips of your craft for our listeners today?
you bet. Absolutely. I have personally benefited so much from the coach training I received. And so I'm just walking these things out with my kids. I've got 4 kids who are 21, 19, 17, 15. And I use these conversation skills with them and with people I work with and with everyone I meet. Like it's just a huge part of ministry. And these are things that all the listeners can do for sure as well. So the first one is it's going to sound simple, but it's really challenging. And that is to be
Okay.
present. Be present. For those moments, oftentimes you're not even with someone that long. So, in the moments that you're with someone, just be present completely and be dialed in. And that alone is such a gift to other people, and they can feel it. I mean, you've all been with people where you can tell they're kind of looking at their watch or they're distracted or, maybe they're not completely there for whatever reason, and maybe even a good reason. But we all know what it's like to be with someone who's not fully present. Why would we perpetuate that? So, one skill or one opportunity is just to be present. And so I try
Mm.
to just be present with whoever I'm with, knowing that before I know it, I'll be in my car alone and can flip through Facebook or whatever my brain needs to do, check that email for, I forgot to send this thing, whatever. But when I'm with someone, I try to be present. So that's super important to me. You seem very
I love that.
present with people. How do you do that?
Me? Well, apart from quickly talking to a team member before, my phone is on Do Not Disturb when I'm on
Really?
podcasts or when I do things.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Like I just put the phone on Do Not Disturb. Even okay. That even comes down to being present with sleeping, right? This is not
It
even human
does.
human interaction. I
Yeah.
turn off my Wi-Fi and I put my phone on airplane mode. So there's not even any signal coming through.
Oh
And
my
I am
goodness.
present to sleep then, right?
Love it. I love it.
Like, what can happen in the world where someone's not going to come and knock on my door if there's like a huge emergency,
That's
like
right.
outside, and my family's back in the UK? I literally can't do anything instantly for them.
Yeah.
So I don't need my phone
Yeah.
on during the night.
But it's
So
true.
on
It's
airplane mode,
true.
it goes.
That's a good point. It is intrapersonal as much as it's interpersonal. And I would say same when I try to have my time with God or I want to journal or I want to have some time to create for my business. All these times are good for us to be present fully. And this whole idea of multitasking is bullocks, but we'll
Yeah.
we'll carry on
Yeah,
because
it
otherwise we'll
is.
be here all day.
It is.
But the second one,
Well, I
oh
was
no, go
gonna
ahead.
say also, just in that with human interaction though, is we have smartwatches, we've got phones and everything. Another thing that I do is I have all my notifications turned off.
Mm,
So the only notifications that do come through on my phone are calls and text messages.
mhm,
And on
that's
my
good.
watch, I've got all the notifications turned off on my watch because often you'll be talking to people and then suddenly they'll be reading a text message
Oh yeah,
and then they're back, oh, look, a Facebook. And I'm like, no, that's rude.
it
That's
is
not
rude.
cool. So this monitors my steps and my calories and does what it needs to for that kind of stuff. But
Mhm.
otherwise, no notifications. I don't have them on my laptops, emails, everything, no notifications.
Whew,
And
that
that
sounds
also
lovely.
helps my brain. Yeah, it helps my brain. So
Hmm.
I encourage everyone to take notifications off everywhere and you decide when you go and looking at your emails and you decide when you go and looking at Messenger or Instagram or whatever that is.
Hmm.
And again, that allows you to be present in the moment,
Yeah,
like with whoever it is that you're with. Get
that's
rid of the
right.
phone. Like
That's
life's
right.
more important. People are more important.
Comfort
That doesn't mean I'm
people,
not addicted to looking at it
well,
still,
sure.
like, or addicted to Instagram, but you know.
But for you to say that people are most important, relationships are most important, that is so important and powerful. I'm so glad you're saying it out loud. I was just talking with the dean of the counseling department at a university, and I asked him, and the reason I was talking to him was for Thrive, because we're always wanting counselors to go overseas with us to care for these global workers. And so I was asking him just about his field, like, what have you noticed in the last 5 years, maybe 10, in the counseling world? And he said, hands down, we have in one generation lost the art of relationship and conversation. We don't even know how to do it. I was in awe. Like I didn't know how to answer him, and I still don't know what I said. I'm sure I was like, "Bleh, bleh, bleh, bleh." But I'm like, you know, I can see where what he's saying. I mean, I do think we struggle. I think something between the pandemic and our inundation of technology, notifications, and so forth, and you add to that the things that have been around all the time, like our insecurities or our own awareness of like, "Oh, I don't feel very good. Oh, I'm tired. Oh, I'm hungry. Oh, I forgot to turn the stove off." Whatever it is we're thinking that's
That one is a
already
common one for me, turning the stove off.
there's all this going on, but anyway, I just thought it's really interesting. In one generation, we've lost the art. And so he was saying at Thrive things, you might even want to encourage people, like tell them how to have a goal of talking to a couple people in the room. I'm like, what? We need told to make connections? Yeah, we do. We need told to go to a conference or have a quarterly reset with some girlfriends or come to a coffee catch up. Yeah, we need told to go. Yeah. And we need to really work hard to overcome our leaning toward isolation and trying to be independent and do it on your own.
Yeah,
Uh,
totally.
my
Totally.
goodness, my goodness.
I love it.
So when you're in conversation, being present is essential. And then the second one I said I think is really important is to be able to learn how to show empathy well. Sympathy is sort of like, oh, I'm so sorry, like a sympathy card. Must be rough. But empathy is a really sweet connection. And it can be as simple as, I'm so sorry that you're going through that. And or that sounds hard. That's a lot. And you just make eye contact and you just acknowledge it. And that's it. Like, don't say anything else. Don't fix it. Don't silver line it. Don't give your advice. They didn't ask for that. It's just show empathy. Wow. That sounds hard. Now you can follow up with a question if you want, but I just think our conversations need more empathy.
Yeah, I agree.
I see you. That's hard.
I see you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It's good. We all
It
just
is
want to
hard.
be seen.
Life is hard.
Yes, it
Yeah.
is. It
We do.
is.
We do.
And
And I think,
yeah.
like, I'll go on.
No, I don't have anything to say. I just feel the same. Like I just feel so strongly about it. What were you gonna say?
Yeah. And oh, we're often, I feel like a trait as being, how do I say this? we're used to solve it as business owners. We're used to solving problems, or even if you're in a leadership role within your career, you're used to wanting to solve problems.
Mm,
And often, like you're saying, people just don't want their problem solved. They just want to be heard and seen
that's right.
with where they're at. And that gives them enough confirmation and confidence to then take the next step rather than
Yes.
going, well, have you done this? Have you done that? Have you done this? Have you done that? But it's so easy for us to go into that. How can I fix this mode? Even as
Hmm.
females.
Yeah. Oh,
Yes,
yeah.
males may do that, but like we're just as bad.
We
So I
bad.
love that.
Yep. I totally
Just
agree.
being with the person.
I think it's
Yeah.
interesting, SJ, that you're saying, is it okay for me to call you SJ?
Yeah, of
Okay,
course.
good.
Yeah.
Okay. I I think it's interesting that you say that because I have seen people where I just showed empathy. I didn't do anything else. And by the end of the conversation, they're like, I'm going to call them. I'm going to tell them that that's not okay. It's like, well, good for you. But I didn't have to do anything about that. They just needed someone to listen to them. And I know the same is true with me. If people try to dismiss how I feel or make me feel better or ask me, did you do this or did you try that? It just makes me defensive and it makes me feel like oh, is it that easy? You can just fix it. Like, don't you think if it was that simple, I would have fixed it? And I get kind of, but when we listen to people, it really softens. It softens. It softens them, but it also softens us.
And they will feel heard.
Yeah. Yeah. And
And I
maybe
think
they'll
that's
take
just what
action.
most of us want.
Yes, it is. And sometimes friends can be frustrating. I'll just say, like girlfriends, they can be frustrating because they've vented the same thing month after month after month after month. And it's like, I don't know what to tell you other than what I've already told you, which is you should do this. But they don't, so people do get stuck. I get that. People get stuck and you want to like give them a good kick in the butt. And that's sort of another story. But showing empathy is important. And then I really
You've gone
believe,
from empathy to kicking people up the butt.
I know, it's both. Come on, let's go. Let's go. But I really believe in, and this is one of my favorite things to talk to people about, is opening up your questions. Ask open ended questions. A lot of people, especially certain personality types that are a little more directive, just kind of tell people how to do things, or do you want to do it this way or this way? Or they just have a closed question. And the best conversations come from opening up the questions. And an easy way to do that is to just start your question with what? Because closed
Mm.
questions are usually do, does, is, are, could, should. And if you just switch and you say what first, if that's the first thing that comes out of your mouth, the rest of the words just kind of fall out as an open question. So that's one of my favorite things to share. I wanted your listeners to know you can do that. Say, for example, my teenage daughter, like, say she comes to me and I said, what are you doing tonight? She's like, well, I'm not sure. I could go out with this group of friends, but I might not. And I could say,
Mm.
well, isn't this the friend that you've turned down a few times? Like, isn't it time to say yes? Or, is this the group that got in trouble a month ago? Maybe you shouldn't go with them. I can have all my strong opinions. But instead, I just said, what are some of the factors? What are some of your pros and cons? And that just opened her up to just share. Well, I kind of want to go for this reason, but I don't want to go for this reason. And I'm like, uh-huh. And she's like, and then she keeps talking and then she figures it out. And I'm so glad I didn't try to lead her or tell her, because a 17-year-old, you want to figure these things out, for themselves.
Yeah, you need to empower. Yeah, you
Yes.
need to allow that space for empowerment, right? Because
Yes.
if you tell them what to do, you're telling me what to do. Don't
Oh,
tell me what
for
to do.
sure.
I know everything.
That's
I
another,
know everything.
we should have that podcast too. Yes. Yes. For kids 15 to 21. Don't forget. Yes.
Oh gosh.
Um, but I just really like asking open questions. It just makes for a more robust conversation, and it
Mm.
unpacks, it unlocks the opportunity for more conversation. It almost always yields more pertinent data, and it almost always evokes more awareness, more thought from the person that you're asking the question to. And it keeps you from being
Mm.
leading or biased, which I know I like as well.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's awesome. Empowerment through one word.
Mhm. It's
And
true.
as a coach, I often think that a coach's job is to ask the right questions to get you to find the answers within yourself. Like we all have the answers within
Yes.
ourselves.
Yes.
So it's asking those questions to work out what is within that human that needs to come out that they need to find out about themselves.
That's
Like you say,
ex
not putting our own agendas and our own thoughts. And
that's
everyone's on their
exactly
own
where I'm
journey. And
at too. Yeah,
that can be applied to sales, like in business, like so many things that can be applied to relationships,
that's right.
private relationships, whatever. Yeah,
Mhm.
I
It's
love
true.
that.
I am a coach as well, and I am certified through the International Coaching Federation. And so I'm kind of snobby about my coaching. I like it to be pure coaching, no consulting, no mashup of all these things. But I think that one of the beautiful things is being able to really truly believe that that other person has good ideas, smart ideas. They actually know themselves better than I know them. And so it's really fun to empower in that way. But my sweet spot is actually helping people who don't necessarily want to become coaches. Like just it's sort
Yeah.
of like sneaking those coach skills in for everyday talk. The next one I was thinking was pause. I bet you use this one as well. A lot of us talk a little too much or we don't give enough space for the other person to think. And there's just some real beauty in just pausing. Just let the conversation catch up. Let the person catch up. Let their especially an offered question or maybe a really powerful question, just letting that sit, letting them have that moment. That is such a gift to just give that pause. I wish that people would learn how to do that more often. And honestly, I'm still working on doing that.
I'm just pausing right now.
You're such a show off.
No,
You're an awesome
it's true.
pauser. So
No, I totally agree.
from your coaching experience, what have you seen from the pause? How do you
Look, I'm not a certified coach. I get a lot of people asking me questions a lot of time about a lot of different things being in the space that I am. So I'm not a certified coach or anything like that. Just naturally, it's come up in the story of life. But in saying all that, I have learned the art of pausing too and have to catch myself from wanting to butt in with the conversation. Pausing allows you to listen as
Mm,
well as giving the answer, or going back to the empowerment when you ask the what questions, giving that time for the pause is super important.
mhm.
But also, I think I don't know how to say this. I'm just going to pause again for a minute while I think about this. Sorry, I know I'm doing a lot of joking questions about pausing, but I do think pausing actually allows safety, an unknown subconscious safety that
Mm,
you are given permission to have a moment to not have to think like off the bat, and just given that space and safety just to actually reflect on your feelings and what you think of that, whatever it is in that moment, whether you've just been asked a hard question or whether it's within a conversation that you're just having with family members or a friend or whatever it is, just having that moment to pause, I think breeds safety. What I think adds to that, if you're in person, is a pause with a touch. And
mm,
I don't know, that might sound weird, me just saying that like that. But coming back to empathy and being human and how we've forgotten how to do relationships, like coming down to even like having a hugs and that kind of thing, people are just, especially Australians. No offense, guys. I love you. I'm here. I'm 100% for you. But you guys got to learn how to hug because you do not know how to hug. English people know how to hug and they will give you a big bear hug and hold you tight. Aussies are very refrained from wanting to hug and be touched.
oh wow, I
So
didn't
people
know
do
that.
freak out. Yeah, people do freak out when I go in for a massive hug and I'm like, I'm here. You getting a hug from me. I don't care because humans need touch. So
That's
if
right.
you can pause and put your hand on their hand, your
Mm.
arm just on their arm, I don't mean
Yep.
a sexual touch. I just mean I'm giving you space. Know that I'm here.
Absolutely.
That's all it needs to be. Now, in a professional counseling space, that might be different, but talking with people in retreats, like I will go up and I will touch them
Yes.
and I will put my hand on their shoulders. If they're having a moment and we're praying, there will be silence and I will just be putting my hand on their shoulder or on their head, even on their hands and their feet, like wherever it is appropriate for that person with how they're
Yes.
sitting,
Right.
just to let them know that there's a human there and there's warmth there and there's someone there with them in that moment without
Yes.
words, which is the most important.
That is
So I think there's the
beautiful.
pause and there's the touch.
Yes.
Yeah.
We do that at Thrive as well. We're very conscientious of touch. And while they're praying, having sort of like their own solitary sanctuary time, we tell them in advance, we're going to go around and just touch you lightly and we're going to pray for you silently and just carry on. But it's very important. It's very powerful. Yeah, I love that you do that.
Mm.
And I think you said it perfectly about safety. A pause does give this incredible safety. It's a non-judgmental, I'm going to give you space to feel what you're feeling and think what you're thinking. And I think not to be overly dramatic or I don't know, to be ultimatum kind of thing, but I think if we were to pause more, we would give so much more space for people to have aha moments. Like there have been times where I've paused and someone has been able to apologize. Like they realize, "Ooh, I shouldn't have said that. I'm really sorry." And if we don't give space, people don't realize. They don't have the aha. They don't think, "Oh, now I know what to go do." Or now I feel I don't know, we just run so fast paced. And it just is necessary to take some pause
It
and it
does.
brings
I feel
safety.
like it does bring safety. It does bring safety. And what you were saying earlier about being present and how, sorry, not even that, it was the art of losing conversation and how to have relationships and physically, verbally communicate. We're really good at taking videos now and taking pictures. And that has led to, I mean, social media was there before, and now, we're in this overconsumption era. So we've gone really bad at having relationships, communicating. We're really good at taking photos and making videos. And I'm not putting things past podcasts or anything like that. I think podcasts are a lot slower consumption of information. But for me, even in the season I'm in, I'm like, I can't listen to podcasts. Like, I just can't take in any more information. I
Mhm,
am pausing literally and I am
mhm,
creating space.
mhm.
And I've needed to do that. And I think with the speed of social media as well, we're carrying that speed throughout all that we're doing. And it's killing us inside. It's killing humans inside. It's killing our souls.
Mhm.
People are constantly comparing. People are constantly just thinking that they're not good enough for what they're doing or what they're trying to do, and just taking that time, like you're saying, and having that safety and not going at full speed ahead just allows us just to have that minute to process. And I'm very big on subconscious processing. Once you've done
Mm,
something, or if you're stuck in something in your business, go out in the bush, go out in the woods, the forest, wherever it is that you call it. Get out in nature and move. The biggest thing you can do is get out in nature and move your body, and it allows your subconscious to then process what it is, maybe the problem, or it allows you space to actually just hear, even from God, if you need to. And it's that pause. So not only just pausing in conversation, but pausing in life, just to
mhm.
give space and just allow, like you're saying, the subconscious to catch up with everything that's been going on. We're
Yes,
not built for speed. Like humans are not built to go at the pace of what
we are not.
technology is forcing us to go at.
Mm-mm.
And it's
We are
breaking
not
us.
computers. We are
We're
not.
not
We're
computers.
humans.
We are. And we feel.
Mhm.
Yeah. I don't know what point we're up to.
We are ready for 5, which is the last
Okay.
one, which is co-create. And what I mean by that is when we're in conversation with someone else, we have this opportunity, this moment that has never happened before in the world, this moment of whoever it is we're talking to, whether we're standing in the store or sitting on a couch or wherever we are, to have this live moment where if we remove bias and we're not leading them anywhere and we're just dialed in and listening to them, we're asking maybe some things that start with what, some open questions, and we're just present with them. There's a really beautiful thing that happens that God oftentimes gives us space to kind of create something together, creating that moment together. And there can be an aha from one of us, or there can be like, ah, this has just refilled me, refueled me. Like I feel like my soul is more whole because we're co-creating, we're realizing together, the world needs more of this, or let's go do that, or you know what, let's just go away together in the mountains and forget about turn our phones off for 24 hours. There's just something really special there. And so I think when we think of co-creating, like together we're going to have this moment, it's just really special. And it takes the pressure off of if you are in a service industry and you're listening to someone and you're trying to help, to think of like building it together is takes the pressure off that you're not the one who has to have the solutions. You're just showing up.
Yeah. Yeah. And doing all the things that you've just spoken about,
Yes,
putting all of those
exactly.
into practice, quite
Which is not
literally.
nothing. It's something and it's beautiful and it's special. And that's what makes us human.
It is. It is. Thank you so much for sharing all those. I think that they were so beautiful and so needed and such a different perspective. We share a lot on business and,
Mhm.
marketing or all those different things. This has brought a different perspective that you
Mm.
can apply every single thing to what you can do in your business and your life. And I really appreciate you sharing those and opening up the conversation.
You bet. And
So share with
also,
us now.
before you transition, I just want to say if you are listening and you are building a team, you can definitely apply these things to your team too. It's not just client facing. If you show up and you're present when a team member's talking to you, if you can show them some empathy or ask open ended questions, leave some space for pause, and have this mindset of co creation, you're going to have healthier team relationships too.
Oh, I love this. I'm so glad you brought that up. That's awesome. Well, listeners, you have a lot to think about now, but we are going to move on. How do you incorporate God into your business?
I love that you ask that. One of the things I do is I pray for my students. I really love thinking of them as full-fledged people who are growing and changing and trying new things. And I get to know them on a personal level. And so I really enjoy praying for them, whether they're believers or not. I do faith-oriented and non-faith-oriented things. And I just love praying for all of them. So that's a big thing for me. I also after being in the church and pastoral work for a long time, I was sort of in the church bubble. And as soon as I got out of the church bubble a little bit, sometimes I just really enjoyed dripping and shining, like dripping God's like, just dripping that I go to church or dripping that I was reading God's word. That's really meaningful to me. So even in the things I do that are not in a faith-oriented environment, I still kind of shine in that way. I love leaking out those kinds of things, and that's part of God is a part of my business. He's a part of who I am and how I function, and I no longer feel bad about that. Like,
Yeah,
this is just me. You hired me, and I'm talking about personality and this is how God wired me. And I just go on. I don't make a big deal about it, but it's just little things that I get to play it, which I think is great. And then lastly, I would say I ask about values, beliefs, spirituality. It is not offensive really to anybody to ask about what is important to you. How would you prioritize that? What kind of values or belief system are a part of this issue that you're dealing with? The truth is, what people believe, whether it's belief in themselves or belief in God or whatever it is, it's a huge part of what motivates us. It's a huge part of like the way we see the world and what we're going to do and why we're going to do it. And so asking questions like that, I no longer shy away from that. Like, ooh, I don't know if they're a spiritual person, I might offend them or whatever. No, everybody has values and beliefs and principles and faith has something that leads them and guides them. And if you're trying to help them move forward, then putting your finger on what that is or helping them evoke awareness in themselves about what that is part of the journey. So that's been kind of exciting for me to move past that and to not be afraid of that anymore, but to know that that's on the okay list. That's in the green light. That's in the green light area. Like, yeah, I'm going to ask about that because that's part of what is going to help you figure out what to do next.
Totally is. Where are we without our values and knowing that stuff about ourselves? And
Right. Right.
you just
Exactly.
don't know.
Yeah. It's just a matter of whether we know what they are
Yeah.
and if we know how they're
It is.
guiding us.
That's right. That's right. Some of us don't know that yet, and that's okay. Well,
Hmm.
Abigail will Abigail will help you figure them out. It's all good. You don't know them yet? Go to Abigail.
That's right.
So next, what's your Bible verse for this season and why?
Oh my goodness. I feel like this is some sort of cheesy verse. You know that when they're in the stores and you can buy it on your for your fridge and buy it for your wall and it's like somehow less than, but this verse is not less than. Psalm 46:10 says, "Be still and know that I am God." And this has been mine for a couple years now. That's how long this season has been for me, but I have it beside my bed. I think about it a lot. And what's meaningful to me about this is a deep trust. When God says be still, I'm like, whew, okay, that means I have to trust you. I can't be frantically running in my own strength and be still and be trusting you. So, as a self proclaimed control freak, I am saying, okay, God, I want to be still because as a go getter, that is an incredibly profound sacrificial way for me to put a stake in the ground and say, I trust you. And so I will
Yeah.
stop and I will wait. And then the other half, knowing that I'm God, just to remember He's sovereign and He is holy and He is omniscient and omnipresent. And I think another phrase or another way to say this for me is to abide in Him, to do ministry with Him, not for Him, not
Mm,
because I feel like I
mm.
have to, not although He is
Mm.
worthy of my everything, but He just wants me. And so instead of striving, just abiding in Him. And that this verse evokes that in me as well.
I love that. I love that. I'm going to take all that with me today too. I love that so
Good.
much. Thank you for
Good.
sharing. So, if our listeners wanted to get in contact with you, maybe do some coaching or
Yeah.
whatever it is that you are brave enough to be doing right now, where can they find you?
Yes. Go to equippingforimpact.com. Or you can find me Equipping for Impact on Facebook or Equipping for Impact on Instagram. I'm also on LinkedIn if that's a platform that you use. And if you're interested in serving with a great ministry, thriveministry.org. Or if you are a missionary, you should go check out Thrive Ministry because they take care of global workers for free. And it's just an incredible resource.
Oh, that's so good. That's so good. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show today. It's been
Thank
an
you.
absolute pleasure to interview you and to learn more about you and your heart. And I know there's going to be so many elements that our listeners can take away and use within their life and business. Like everything you've shared is
Good.
relatable to absolutely everything.
Well, it's been a joy to be here. Thank you so much for having the space for us that we can talk and pause.
And pause. Yeah, and pause. That's awesome. Well, you're listening to the Christian Women in Business podcast. I'm SJ, and we look forward to catching you next time. Bye for now.